Hi, good morning. This is at Marcus with the CK Dowling, Dowling. I'm the co-host of MNDFCK. It's Mindfuck, a podcast. It's a broadcast from the Line Hotel in historic Washington D.C. At the in Adams Morgan from via full service radio. And we're not there. I'm currently in my bedroom. We're not either at Domena Fontana's dollhouse. This is a place where, like 0.05% of the population's ever been. But I feel like, in the vein of full honesty, and in the vein of 2019, it's 2019, January 1st, I figured we'd do the broadcast from here. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. This show, MNDFCK, fill in the vowels, is a broadcast aimed at discovering how, in the midst of chaos, to live our safest, sanest, most consensual, and sustainable lives. This is a conversation that lacks rules. We'll say and do whatever we want. And there's decency defined by protocol every step of the way. Today's broadcast, aka podcast, will be about mansplaining. It's a thing that I'm guilty of in regards to our podcast and broadcast every week. So I felt it was necessary to kind of like have an open and honest dialogue in regards to that. It's frustrating for me. It's a real frustration for me because I think I know better. I'm my mother's son. I am a Washington D.C. native. I got all these little like bon mots about myself, but I feel like the one thing that I'm most guilty of as of late has been mansplaining. And in regards to that, the topic itself is, as old as time, given that we're in the Me Too era. And you got a lot of men that are guilty of that. We'll get on that in a second. But I feel like it's a thing that needs to be properly defined. We properly define things on the podcast. Shout out to Fontana. She always says that. So in 2008, there was an article by author Rebecca Solnit in which she discussed men who had overconfidence and cluelessness in regards to conversations with her. So that's the thing. And also, Lily Rothman in The Atlantic stated that mansplaining is explaining without regard to the fact that the explainee knows more than the explainer, often done by a man to a woman. There's an episode of our fair podcast, it's episode 2, where Max Mohawk, the genderqueer anarchist and artist, aka Susie, and Domina and myself are doing our podcast as we typically do. And in the midst of doing so, there's this moment where I'm like, hey, oh my God, let's take this conversation about social media and raise it up a level, up a level, up a level. And in regards to that, that's mansplaining too. And I feel the need to bring up Deborah Tannen. She is a Georgetown University-based linguist, and I'm a huge fan of hers. And in regards to this, she notes that the difference in conversational styles, she's the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus as well. And she states that women view life as a network, while men view life as a ladder. And I think that's really important in the conversation regarding mansplaining, because men have this notion where we want to raise the conversation up to another level because we have to, get to this height, this precipice of excellence, of greatness. And women are more concerned about the idea of viewing life as a network and a broad-based conversational point where, everybody gets to get in and everybody gets to have a seat at the table. Shout out to Solange. The Solange album, it's called A Seat at the Table. It's wonderful. In regards to that, I think there's a lot of truth to that statement. When I was in that conversation on episode 2, and you can hear it, you can go back and find it on anchor.fm/MNDFCK-podcast. Cheap plug. I do a lot of cheap plugs. I'm really sorry. So I'm taking that conversation about social media. I'm trying to get Domina to a point, and I'm raising it. And I thought that, okay, I'm not mansplaining because I'm not telling her this is what social media does. No, I was trying to cajole her and force her more so. And that's really unfortunate. I'm sorry I did that. And that's me actually being guilty of the thing that we're talking about today. A thing that I probably should do more, and a thing that we should probably as men be more cognizant of, is having a broader base in regards to our conversations, being more inclusive and aware of having more people across a broader educational standpoint, across a broader understanding standpoint, across just broader gender and normative constructs in that sense. Just being more aware in general. I think that's a thing that's super important and that more people should do. So I'm going to be more aware of that on the podcast and on the broadcast. And I think that there's even deeper regarding the topic that I have listed for this YouTube conversation. I'm a black man. I'm a cisgendered black man in 2019, which to me makes me feel like I have to be, I'm 75% in a lot of people's minds as good as, like, say, a white man in a conversation or any sort of, competitive, and most of society is competitive concept or construct. And I'm probably, like, in current terms, 95% as good as a white woman. So therefore, I feel like I always have to work like 125% as hard as anybody else to have my my voice heard. And I was talking recently. I was talking last night during New Year's Eve festivities. I was at Decades nightclub. Decades was the club that I had a hand in doing the conceptual design of, and I handle marketing and promotions and social media there. Again, another cheap plug. So sorry. In regards to just this notion of being a black man and trying to be heard. And they're like, you have a podcast. Why do you have a podcast? Everybody has a podcast. And you're not going to probably be successful doing that. And I'm like, no. Given the notion that, like, I'm me and I've done all this work. I've written for Vice and Complex, and I've written for the Washington City paper, and I've had a certain level of success doing that. Also, like my co-host, Domina Fontana, she's brilliant. She's a dominatrix and a college lecturer. You're not going to find many people like that. You're not going to find two voices in conjunction like that. So you should have a podcast. And that's a thing for me, is like, okay, so given that people, like, I'm a black man, so I have to work harder. Given that the podcasting space is such a full and varied space that I have to work harder too, it makes the desire to over-explain and potentially mansplain super relevant and a thing that is easy to fall in prey to. So I'm very concerned about that, and I think that that's something that, as an African American male in this space, I should probably be much more aware of. That's going to be hard, because if you look at just the space that we're in, it's difficult. It's a really trying time to be a black man in any creative realm in America. It's a great time to be a black woman. Black girl magic is real. There's black boy joy, but it's not the same as black girl magic. It's not the same. Black boy joy is a thing that I have a lot of, but it's not the same as black girl magic. Black girl magic is undeniable. Yeah, I'm just saying that. I'm whispering it because it's so true. And it's really hard for me. And the notion of full disclosure, it's really hard to see so many of my black female counterparts excelling right now in relation to me as an African American male. It's stressful. It's a thing. You're just like, okay, so what do I have to do? And that's a thing where, like, maybe not me, but for another black male who's out there listening, or somebody that the desire to, like, over-explain, the desire to, like, really struggle with, I must let you know how I uniquely feel, is a thing. So, I just have to be ultra aware of that. Also, just for better housekeeping tips moving forward, I want to get to that point of the podcast and broadcast as well. There's 3 key points that I think are super important and thoughtful. Again, this is going to be brief. It's January 1st. Nobody wants to hear me for 45 minutes, especially by myself. I have black-eyed peas and ramen to eat. I might eat them together. If I do that when we're on the air at the line next week, we're going to have Cindy Clay from Hips on next week. It's going to be fantastic. Hips helping individual prostitutes survive. A lot of conversation about harm reduction there. But I'm going to eat some black-eyed peas and ramen together, possibly. So I'll let you know how that goes. But in regards to mansplaining and getting back on topic, 3 things to think about. Number one, humble yourself in conversation to the person you're having a conversation with. That's super important. I think that thinking broad-based and looking at the person, especially if it's a woman you're having a conversation with, and allowing her space in the conversation to even be bigger than yours at first, to just learn how to do this thing better, is important. Just thinking, okay, so I need to like be more cognizant and thoughtful of how to involve this person in the conversation in a deeper way. There's a thing that I do. If you look literally behind me on my walls, the walls you don't see in front of me, I have a picture of Frida Kahlo over here. I have a portrait of Angela Davis right here. I have another movie poster of Xavier Hollander, the Happy Hooker, right here. I'm going to have another portrait right here that's going to be done by my friend Cezanne Kohler of Frida Kahlo. Frida's super important as an artist. You have to have other artists that inspire you in your creative space. And this is my bedroom, so it's my most creative space. I have this poster right here is a taboo American style of Raven. I have a poster of Laura Gemser as Emmanuel. I have a poster of Seika, and I have a poster of Marilyn Chambers from Behind the Green Door. Yes, those are all pornographic films, but I feel like the rawness of those films inspires a raw creativity out of me. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's the absolute truth that anybody who knows me in real life will tell you I'm a little nuts like that. But it's the rawness of their creativity. It's the passion of their creativity that for me, when I'm writing about politics or I'm writing about social justice or I'm writing about sharing a better humanity or things that have to inspire me, I have to look at this and go, you know, if I can watch Seika in Swedish erotica and she's like bearing her soul and she's got this beautiful sash on and she's like really like, you know, exemplifying beauty and creative expression, and that's something I must do. If I look at Emmanuel in America and I'm like, you know, her whole concept is female sexual freedom and freedom of female sexual expression, then being cognizant of that being a thing and the beauty of that is a thing that humbles me as a creative. And it says, well, you know, if she did it, then I can learn from that how to be a better creative and how to be a better African-American creative even. So that's the thing. So humbling yourself in conversation and just saying, okay, so what is this woman saying to me? And why is it important? And stopping yourself, literally stopping, dropping to your knees, whether, you know, physically or in a cognitive sense and saying, okay, what is this person saying and why is it important? That's a super important thing to do. As well, I come from the world of professional wrestling, Capital Wrestling. It's a company I own, co-own with Matthew Ryan, CAPITOL Wrestling, WRESTLING, Facebook.com/Capital Wrestling. We're back in Hoboken, New Jersey on February 2nd. Yeah, again, I'm so sorry. Cheap plugs aplenty. I'm so sorry. Domina Vantana, dominavantana.com. dominavantana@gmail.com, twitter.com/dominavantana, just to keep it fair and honest and, you know, keep it 100. I'll talk about her as well. Yeah, you got to learn from professional wrestling. Jim Cornette's a guy in professional wrestling that I'm very much a fan of. He's a 40-year veteran professional. When you do a seminar with him, I've had the opportunity to do on numerous occasions, he talks about the idea that if you're in a confrontational conversation with someone, and he's talking about in the realm of wrestling of like, I'm going to beat you down on January 1st. Brock Lesnar, whatever. You want to listen to what your opponent, and not that, you know, like Vantana and I are in competition when we're on air, but we're in conjunction. But just the way to think about it, just the way to frame it. When you're talking to someone, you need to listen to them first, because your response by listening to what they said first is thus stronger intrinsically, because you took the time to listen to what they had to say and you responded uniquely in kind. I'll say that again. If you listen to what a woman has to say first and you respond uniquely in kind, you as a man have a chance to make an even better response. So ultimately that means that women are first world citizens more so than men are, and we should probably value their opinions more. But that's a whole different other conversation for a different other podcast. But in regards to not mansplaining, Listen to what a woman has to say first, and it'll make your response stronger and better. Just something to think about. And thirdly, and most importantly to me, harmonize yourself with the universe. Just overall in general. I'm a yoga practitioner. Currently, I'm a big fan of Diamond Dallas Page's yoga. Diamond Dallas Page is a 60-year-old professional wrestler. He's the master of the diamond cutter, feel the bang, whole deal. He has a yoga practice now that's sweeping the nation, and it's really great. It started off as called Yoga for Regular Guys, but now it's DDP Yoga. So even he is aware of not having to mansplain everything, and opening and broadening up the conversation and making it better and more relevant for everyone. And I'm a big practitioner of doing that yoga because I, as a religious practice, am a believer in chakra balance. That doesn't make me a Buddhist by any stretch. That makes me a reformed Black Catholic trying to find a better way. And I do so via yoga. So I do it, at least 4 times a week. I get down on a mat and I humble myself to the energies of the universe, and I try to balance myself in accordance to them. That's a thing that requires alignment of my chakric energies throughout, the center of my system. Also, it, in my mind, aligns my body to my bones to my sinews to my spirit to my conscience. And when you do that, and you're always in balance, and you're always in concert with the universe, then that makes your conversations intrinsically at that point stronger and more in balance and more aware of a whole universe, and especially aware of others' humanity. So I know that sounds like a lot of psychopathic mumbo jumbo goofus babble. I went there. But it's real. It's a thing, and it's a truth. It's a truth for me, and it could be a truth for you. So and I'm not telling you to get a yoga mat and to get down on it and make yourself a citizen of a full and holistic universe. Or I might actually be saying that. I might actually be telling you in 2019, if you make any resolution, it's to get down on the mat, because number one, it'll keep you from mansplaining. Number two, it'll make you a better citizen of the world. Yeah, I said that, and it's the truth. So therefore, I said it. It's an idea. It's something to think about, because in regards to this mansplaining conversation, if you humble yourself to the depth and scope and breadth of the universe, then you'll probably not be so wanting to do so. And engage in mansplain conversations, because that's a thing that moving forward, because I wrote a piece for medium.com/@Marcus K. Dowling, Marcus with the CK, Dowling, Dowling, where I talked about how by 2024, the president will be a woman. I don't think it's going to be Elizabeth Warren, or if there's 29 other women that run for president. It's probably not their year, but I think that we're lining ourselves up for something in 2024 that'll be truly dynamic. A point overall before I go, in regards to the forthcoming year, we are living in dynamic times. We are living in a radical age that is unlike any radical age in which humankind has ever lived. That's radical in the sense of the American president, Donald Trump. People elected a potentially fascistic human being to be the president of America's. America's the first world country of all first world countries. Not that that's true, but that's a notion that's commonly believed. So let's run with it. You have to take these commonly believed notions, and you have to welcome them into your creative space and give them thrust and belief if a number of people believe them to have thrust and belief. So I do that. And so therefore it's a radical thing. Responding with unique radicalized protest is a unique and different thing in this age. And that happened with the Women's March. So that's a radical thing that's happening in radical times. The digital age is super important. That makes it radical as well. So being cognizant of the radicalization of your age allows for being radical in the way in which you approach conversations with each other. I think the reason why Mindfuck exists as a podcast is to have better conversations, which is the reason why I'm having this conversation with you this morning on January 1st, 2019. in regards to mansplaining, because I want to have better conversations. I want the conversation that I have weekly for 45 minutes at Full Service Radio at the Line Hotel to be better. I want every single episode that we do on YouTube to engage on a video scale to be better. And just in general, I think that having better conversations makes us better people. And to be better people in a radicalized time allows for a better age and a better humanity to exist in our most radical age and our most radical time that we share as people on this earth. So I know that's a lot, and it's something to think about. So it's food for thought. I want to close this one out, give you about half of our usual runtime. So definitely find us, Mindfuck Podcast, MNDFCK Podcast, at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MNDFCK Podcast. Those sites are updated daily with all of our latest information, a lot of cool memes and GIFs and graphics and such, and just a lot of sense of where we're going as a podcast and broadcast. You can find us live, mndfck.fullserviceradio.org. That's also where our archives are. That's updated weekly, Tuesday at 6 p.m. You could listen live for our broadcast. Next week, again, we have Cindy Clay from HIPS, helping individual prostitutes survive. We're going to be having a conversation largely based around harm reduction. You can find us on any one of 12 different portals currently. That does include Google Play and iTunes. That also includes Stitcher Radio. That includes SoundCloud. That also includes Spotify. You can find us on Spotify at MNDFCK Podcast. You can find us on Anchor.fm. If you find us on Anchor.fm, please listen to the ad that I recorded before the broadcast. Also, if you're checking us out on Anchor, we have a little digital donation jar. Please drop anything in there you'd like. From 1 cent to $1, it all makes a difference. We're having a wonderful time here, but that time will be even more wonderful by supporters like you. Again, if you listen to us on any of those portals, please leave us a positive review. We really enjoy positive reviews because it lets us know that people are listening. Again, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Have a better tomorrow. And enjoy 2019. Have a great day.